You know, we tend to think of our bodies as having these fixed biological limits, right? But what if the things we do, our culture, our repeated practices, what if they could literally reshape us from the inside out? Today, we are diving deep, pun intended, into the incredible world of freediving to see just how powerful that connection really is. Okay, get this. 11 minutes and 35 seconds. That is the current world record for a human being holding their breath underwater. No oxygen tanks, no help, just holding their breath. Let that sink in for a second. Over 11 minutes. So yeah, how on earth is that humanly possible? How can a body that needs a constant flow of oxygen to survive just turn it off? Well, the answer isn't just about having incredible willpower. It's about a deep, deep conversation happening between our behavior and our biology. And the key to unlocking this whole mystery is a really cool concept called embodied culture. It's basically the idea that the things we do over and over and over again, our habits, our practices, don't just change our skills. They literally get folded into our bodies, into our nerves, our muscles, even the shape of our organs. And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. For decades, what scientists thought were hard and fast physiological limits have been completely, and I mean completely, shattered. Not by some clever experiments in a lab, but by communities of athletes out there pushing the very edge of what we thought was possible. I mean, the scale of how wrong we were is just staggering. Back in the day, medical experts were absolutely convinced that if you dove deeper than 50 meters, the pressure would crush your lungs. Flat. Today, the record is an unbelievable 214 meters. That is like diving down the side of a 70-story skyscraper. It just goes to show you that practice can unlock a potential our biology had waiting for us all along. So how did they survive these insane depths? Well, the first piece of the puzzle is actually an automatic reflex that we all have. Yep, you too. It's this ancient inheritance from our mammalian ancestors. You can almost think of it as a latent superpower, just waiting to be activated. It's called the mammalian dive response. And the second your face hits cold water, especially around your nose and sinuses, your body just takes over. 3 things happen, almost instantly. First, bradycardia. Your heart rate plummets to conserve oxygen. Second, vasoconstriction. The blood vessels in your arms and legs clamp down, pushing all that precious oxygenated blood to your brain and your heart. And third, and this is wild, your spleen actually squeezes itself, releasing a burst of extra oxygen-rich red blood cells into your bloodstream. It's like a built-in biological scuba tank. And this is where you really see the power of training. For an average person, your heart rate might drop by 1/3 or so. But an elite diver, they can slow their heart all the way down to 20 beats per minute. That's one of the lowest heart rates ever recorded in a conscious human being. Through practice, they've basically supercharged this involuntary reflex. Okay, so mastering that dive response is just the beginning. The next huge hurdle is almost entirely a mental one. It's this epic battle between your mind and your body, where you have to learn to consciously override one of the most powerful survival instincts we have. Researchers have a name for this moment. They call it the transition from the easy phase of holding your breath to the struggle phase. And believe me, that's an understatement. This is the point where every cell in your body is screaming at you to breathe, and it's where training and shared knowledge become absolutely critical.
So what's actually causing that struggle? You'd think it's a lack of oxygen, right? Well, not at first. It's actually something called hypercapnia. It's the buildup of carbon dioxide, CO2. When those CO2 levels get too high, your diaphragm starts to spasm, trying to force you to take a breath. Divers just call them contractions.
Now for you or me, that first contraction is a panic signal. It's your brain shouting, "Get to the surface now!" But an expert freediver, through relaxation techniques and just knowing their own body, can ride out more than 100 of those contractions. They've learned to reinterpret that signal, not as a 5-alarm fire, but just as a normal part of the process. Okay, so you have reflexes. You have psychological control. That's incredible stuff. But it all builds to something even more profound. And this, to me, is the most amazing part, how all this practice can physically change the shape and size of your organs. After years and years of freediving, you see these incredible anatomical changes. Divers actually develop larger spleens to hold more of that oxygen-rich blood. Their torsos and lungs literally expand, giving them way more air capacity, and their rib cages and diaphragms become super flexible so they can handle that crushing water pressure without getting injured. And the data totally backs this up. A typical freediver has, on average, 1.8 liters more lung capacity than a non-diver of the same size and age. That's like having an entire extra 2-liter soda bottle's worth of air in your lungs. And this isn't something they were born with. It's an adaptation they built through practice.
To push this even further, they have this wild technique called lung packing. After they take a full breath, they literally use their throat muscles to gulp down and cram even more air in there, physically stretching their lungs to increase their volume by up to 50% for a single dive. It's an active, conscious process of reshaping their own body.
So here's where it all comes together. The crucial point isn't just that diving changes the body, it's that how you dive changes your body in very, very specific ways. This is where you see biology and culture just perfectly weave together.
And this is illustrated perfectly if you compare 3 different diving groups. First, you've got sport divers. Their culture is all about maximum time, maximum depth. And what do they develop? Those huge lung capacities we just talked about. Then you have the Bajau people in Southeast Asia. Their culture is about making tons of short, quick dives all day to hunt for food. And over generations, they've actually been genetically selected for larger spleens for those quick oxygen boosts. And finally, you have the Ama and Hainyo divers of Japan and Korea. They traditionally dove for things like pearls in freezing cold water, and they developed unique metabolisms to resist the cold. So same general activity, diving, but 3 different cultural needs created 3 different kinds of bodies. It's amazing.
Anthropologists call this awesome feedback loop a behavioral developmental spiral. Basically, your behavior changes your body, and then those changes to your body let you perform the behavior even better. You learn to handle the contractions, which lets you stay down longer, which puts more stress on your lungs and spleen, causing them to adapt and grow, and the spiral continues upward.
So the big takeaway from all this is really simple but also pretty profound. Our biology isn't some fixed blueprint we get at birth. It's a living, breathing, responsive system. Through patterned practice, what we do with our bodies over and over again literally becomes who we are. So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. From the way you're sitting at a desk right now, to how you hold your phone, to the sports or hobbies you do, what are the repeated patterned practices in your life? And how might they be subtly, or maybe not so subtly, remaking your body right at this very moment?